going on, guys? What's going on?
Yep. We are live, baby. We live another episode of the Football Frame of Mind podcast, man. I'm your host, Cam. Sound a little bit better than the last episode. But we still trying to get all the way 100%. I'd say I'm about 90%, 90% right now, But aside from that, man, another great episode. Happy to be doing it with you. How you doing, man?
We're doing good, man. It feels like forever since we've been on here. We're just ready to get into some college football today, man. I think we got some really good discussions. We're gonna start getting kind of the early stages of the season. Obviously, we still got a couple months, but it's gonna be a really good day.
Yeah, man. We are going to be good, dog. Like I said, we are excited to be a part of this revolution, man. We're excited to be a part of this revolution, man. So, the revolution is in the corner over here, on the corner right there.
Your top right corner.
Yeah,
Pause
there
up.
we go. Wherever you find it at on the screen, man. Uh, College football dogs, man. This is a revolution of sports media. Uh, Happy to be a part of their team. It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be a really fun journey with these guys, man. As we get into the football season, it's gonna be more content. We'll be able to get a whole wider audience, and going on a network would be really, really fun. And we just continue to grow, man. But we cannot grow without you guys. All right, we can't grow without you guys. So at the bottom of the screen, man, these are our socials, man. Give us some follows, give us some subscriptions, man. Give us some likes, everything, man. So we can keep growing. We can grow with you guys. You can grow all over the place. So we just want you guys to join this journey with us, man. We got 16,400 subscribers, man. Growing every day. I think we get like maybe 4 subscribers every day. So if we can double that every day, it'll be awesome, man. We just keep going. So, but like I said, we have a lot, not a lot to talk about today. Like we're still sort of in the off season. So not much, but some things we wanted to talk about today, man. So the first thing, man, that we're going to discuss on today's show is we're going to discuss, man, the quarterback landscape of the SEC, man. All right,
SEC day.
like, all right. So look, there's a lot of quarterbacks in this conference this year that can be first round talents either this year or next year. Doesn't matter, but they can definitely make some noise, right? And this conference is so big now with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma that the team that comes out of this SEC champion is probably going to be the number one overall seed in the playoffs. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
we can both agree with that. I think it'd be the equivalent of the college basketball tournament of like the Big Ten or the Big East when we were growing up. You got Georgetown, Syracuse, what's the name, St. John's, all these good schools, and you go through that tournament, you should probably be the number one seed in that tournament. So this is the equivalent of the Big East back in the day. So I'm excited to see what happens, man. But I want to get your take on maybe 3 quarterbacks that you are looking forward to seeing play this year.
Yeah. So one guy off top, and I'm not going in any particular order. I'm just gonna kind of give my synopsis. One guy to start off. I'm gonna say Brady Cook from Missouri, man. I don't know where they're going to be standing this year, especially in regards to the run game, meaning that they lost their stud of a running back in the NFL draft. I think he's going to have a lot more on his shoulders to be able to deliver, to be able to win games, to be able to put the team on his back, and I think he's ready for it. I think last year really was a precursor to like what he could become, and he played really good for them last year. He was a big reason they won a lot of those games last year, especially beating Ohio State in that bowl game was a really big deal for them. I think Brady Cook takes that next step. I think he's going to be really good. The guy who I think is going to probably make the biggest impact is probably going to be Jackson Dart, man. Ole Miss is geared up and ready to make a run. I don't know if they're going to win the conference, but they're definitely in that conversation. We've had this discussion off air and on air that there's like a 4 or 5 teams that all have a legit shot to make a run at the SEC title and make a playoff spot. And I think Ole Miss is one of those teams. I feel like you've seen Jackson Dart gradually get better and better every year since when Lane Kiffin first brought him in. And last year, man, he was on the money. He didn't have really many bad games. He knows how to deliver, especially in crunch time. I think he's going to make a huge leap. I think if Ole Miss makes the playoffs, he's going to be one of the biggest reasons why him and Lane Kiffin they're tied together like that. I think they're on the same page. That chemistry is there, and I think he's a really good leader for that football team going forward. And maybe a guy who I feel like maybe is an unpopular opinion. I'm gonna say Quinn Ewers, man. I think Quinn Ewers is gonna make another big leap this year too. I think Texas can hit the tires on the ground running. I think they're not really gonna skip much of a beat. I don't really feel that way about Oklahoma. He played really well last year, man. He silenced a lot of doubters, and I feel like myself included. He played really well, and he was another big reason why Texas was a game away from the national championship. I think Quinn Ewers has got a lot of the tools that it takes to win a national championship and a lot of tools that it takes to be able to make it at the next level. I do think Texas will struggle in certain areas, especially like on the defensive line. So I think it will
Yeah.
put more pressure on him to really not play hero ball, but a lot more pressure on him to really make those throws and to be able to win the games in crunch time. And in the fourth quarter when it's really tough, I think Quinn Ewers got to be one of the quarterbacks with the biggest upside that people aren't talking about. So if I had to give my 3, I'd probably say those 3. I'd say Brady Cook, Jackson Dart, and Quinn Ewers because I don't feel like people are really talking about them too much.
Okay, no, man. All right, so as the Mizzou fan of the podcast, right? Uh, that's a team, that I'm looking forward to seeing where they could go, right? So this is the fork in the road year for them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, say what you want about the Cotton Bowl victory against Ohio State, because their quarterback didn't play or got hurt or whatever or transferred. Um, it still counts, right? Because Ohio
Mm-hmm.
State still has, a very, very deep team,
Mm-hmm.
and they recruit, surprisingly better than the SEC team that they were playing, right? Don't get me wrong, Mizzou has definitely gotten better as far as recruiting is concerned, but they
Mm-hmm.
have a niche player that they get, you know. They don't get the top shelf talent all the time, you know. Maybe within their region, every 3 or 4 years, right? You get a Luther Burden coming from in their region. Jamison Williams escaped them. He went to Ohio State a couple years ago. Um, and then you got, they get a couple good 5 stars every few years that come out of Mizzou, Texas, Oklahoma, the region that they recruit in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this year, like you said, they lose the running back Schrader, right?
Mm-hmm.
Leading SEC rusher last season, which is a really good accomplishment, by the way. A lot of great running backs have done that, and he can etch his name in there with those guys. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking Herschel Walker, we're talking Bo Jackson, we're talking a lot of guys, right? So it remains to be seen what they do, as far as running back is concerned, because that was kind of, although they could pass and Brady Cook was very good at that, you have to add some runs because he can't do it all by himself. He's
Mm-hmm.
not. He's actually more dynamic than I thought he was. I thought his running game really kept them in the game against Georgia. And I believe they had that game except for that bonehead interception that he threw to the defensive lineman. But I think it should be interesting to see what Mizzou does this year, man, because they can take a step and be that second, third team in the East. Well, not doing divisions anymore, but if we were, they would be
Oh yeah.
probably the second or third team in that side.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's obviously number one, but they could make a stride and be into maybe the top six of this conference. Like I mean, maybe I don't know. I mean, you got a lot of teams ahead of them. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, a good season like when they came into the SEC, like what 10 years ago?
I'd say a 2-loss season would be a really good year for them.
Yeah, man. But I think they had
And I think
three.
it's realistic.
They had two losses last year, didn't they?
That's
Two.
what I'm saying. I still think
Yeah,
that's still realistic, and it's
yeah.
not a bad year by any means.
Nah, man. So I'm actually interested to see what they do this year. I'm optimistic. Because I think everybody's gonna get beat this year. I don't think anybody's coming out of SEC undefeated.
Nah, I think this year would be the year for that to happen.
Yeah, I don't think anybody. And if you do come out of this season undefeated,
You
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 really
running
good.
through everybody, bro. Like
Yeah,
there ain't
you good
nobody
to
stopping you.
everybody, and there shouldn't be an argument about being number one.
I agree. It's like what you say about the gauntlet. I feel like if you can make it out like nobody else, and you made it through the gauntlet for real, for real.
Yeah, exactly, man. So that's my whole thing. You make it through the gauntlet, man. I'm excited. You know, you mentioned Ole Miss and their quarterback. I like him a lot. Like I said, I like Lane Kiffin, man. He's like a Hugh Freeze in a sense, right? Like
Kinda.
when they find a weakness in your defense, they just
Mm-hmm.
attack it all day. Like they scrap their whole game plan. If they figure out that you can't stop the pass, they'll pass for 600 yards on you.
Their
Scrap the
defense is
whole.
deceptively good too, though, man. Their
That's what
defense is
yeah,
athletically good. Like
yeah. I agree.
they're a
I
solid football
agree.
team.
I agree, man. So that's the two that I really like what you said about, man. But if I had to pick my three, I'm obviously starting with Jalen Milroe. I am a proponent of Jalen Milroe. I like what he did last year. I like some of the things he did last year. And as I said on the show, some things I didn't like last year. I'm going to be fair and I'm not just going to be a fan. But I think that's the player that I really want to see. I want to see what he can do. What type of maturation has he done as far as making the intermediate throws and the throws that count, the throws to the running back, 3rd and 5. We're talking over the middle, 3rd and 8. We need that
Mm-hmm.
first down, right? Being able to affect the game with your passing rather than just, oh, I'm just going to take off and run because the spy
Mm-hmm.
is always there, you know? So that's one person I'm looking at. And then obviously I want to go with I want to see what your quarterback at LSU can do.
The Nuss Bus.
Yeah, I want to see what he can do. Because it's tough, man. Usually we seen what happens to the guy after the guy, right?
Yeah.
The Joe Burrow wins the Heisman. The guy
Yeah.
after the guy
Max Johnson. Yeah.
was not very good, right? So Jane Daniels wins the Heisman, and we got to see if the guy after the guy can be very good. If he can at least not. We're not talking winning the Heisman. We're just saying good play, above average play. Like if we can make the plays that he needs to make, then all right, cool. We can see. But I want to see what he can do. Obviously defense was very rough for y'all last year. So I want to make sure that he's really good, right? Because if he's not good and your defense is still not where it's supposed to be, where I'm used to LSU being, then we're gonna have some problems this year, right? because this is a very offensive heavy season, man. It's a lot of good offenses
Mm-hmm.
across the board. We're talking Vandy's got a pretty good offense, bro. If they surprise you and you start playing around, you're gonna lose.
It makes me feel like how the Big 12 was when we were kids. You know that era where like just everybody was just solid on offense and anybody could go out and beat anybody on every Sunday. Except obviously the SEC is much better, but like that's my comparison. Just like everybody was just loaded, like you didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Like I said, this season's wide open, man. Then the third quarterback that I want to see, man, is really not a hot take, man, but I want to see what Carson Beck can do. There
I think
was
it's a
some,
improve a year.
yeah, this was a guy that was getting some high draft consideration, considering
Mm-hmm.
what he was. I mean, I don't think he probably would have been the later of the first round quarterbacks if he would have came out. I think he probably could have snuck in there, probably to your Saints, maybe if they were looking for a first round quarterback. Maybe I don't know, but somebody could have traded back into the first round and got him. But I think that's where he would have been slotted if he came out. Maybe early second round too.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, he would have been a good person, good pick. But I feel like he's a guy that I want to see. That I'm excited to watch. You know, he's had a pretty Stetson Bennett career at Georgia. Nothing actually, you know, every quarterback that's been at Georgia the last few years under Kirby Smart, they play the same. They all play the
Yeah,
same. Like Jacob Eason, you go
Jake Fromm.
Jake Fromm, you go
Jake
Stetson
Fromm was
Bennett.
balling though.
Yeah, I thought I actually, you know what? I will say this. I think Jake Fromm was probably the best one out of all of them.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I do get that.
all of them have been the same, you know. But we'll see. I don't know. But that's another quarterback I'm looking forward to seeing. Because Georgia is gonna be Georgia. They do have Alabama on the list this year. So
Choo.
we'll see. I know that game is gonna be very very high profile. I expect it to be on. I don't know if they're still on CBS. I don't think so. Actually, I don't think so.
I
I
think
don't
they
know.
got another deal. I think
Yeah, that's what I was
maybe
thinking
I'm
too.
wrong, but
I don't know, but it's gonna be on big network, probably ESPN, primetime,
mm-hmm.
ABC. Don't matter. That game's gonna be big. So be interesting to see what you do. You know what are you gonna do? Carson Beck going against Jalen Milroe, two contrasting styles.
I think it's a really good matchup though. I like that matchup a lot.
I do too, man, because typically Kirby Smart will know how to coach Alabama because
Mm.
he coached there for a long time.
But now you got that curveball in there. It's
Now
different.
now you don't know what kind of team coming out of
Exactly.
there. And I think that's what is going to help Alabama this year. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if we get into, the next segment, just talking about, like I said, we kind of flowing today. But if we get to this next segment, man, we can just talk about, our teams, like our expectations for our teams, specifically as far as offense, defense, coaching, things like that, man. Like I said, we do this a lot, just talk about our teams so far, because as the off season goes, your team evolves, man. People leave, get head coaching jobs, things like that, as we move into fall camp now. I just want to get your thoughts on LSU, man. As far as, like I said, your quarterback play, uh, you got the new defensive coordinator. I thought that was a big hire, stealing him from Mizzou. But what's your expectations on defense this year? I have my expectation on the one thing that needs to change, and I'll give you that. Harold
So
Perkins,
yeah,
he needs to not be at middle linebacker.
it's happening,
That's
bro.
that's not no. He don't need to be playing there. He's an edge rusher with like I don't want to say a Von Miller type of comp, but when
No,
I
I was gonna
see,
make that comparison.
but I kind of think like that. I don't want to like put that kind of pressure out there because Von Miller is like, boom,
He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
yeah, Super Bowl MVP, right? So but that's the comp I see, like a guy that is specialized in getting after the passer. And having him at middle linebacker just does him a disservice. It's like, bro, he's just out there. So that's one thing that I see from your team on defense that I think needs to change from week one. Scratch that.
So if we're just going defense, do we just talk about defense or as a whole?
I mean, you can pick as a
Okay.
whole, you can pick as defense. It
So
don't really
so
matter.
I'm gonna start with defense. So the two biggest areas of struggle for us on defense, besides having a terrible defensive coordinator, uh, is one. It,
That's a good shot.
just being honest. No disrespect, but all disrespect. Okay, so two things I feel like we struggled the most and what cost us a lot of games and kept us out of games is one, the lack of pressure at the line of scrimmage from the defensive line. Oh, CD Clips. What's going on, dude?
Yo, yo, yo. Hey, we doing good
Hey,
tonight,
we
man.
rolling, bro.
We're doing good tonight, man. Like I said, man, hope you're doing good too. We talking at college football, man. I know you're oh, what you got? What you got? You got something else, man? What's up?
Oh, I don't. He confirm he was returning? I thought he was still like on the fence. Like I thought they didn't. I thought they were under the impression he was retiring.
Yeah, yeah. So this is interesting. This is interesting. Like I said, it's funny. It's good you brought this up, CD Clips, man. This is something that I actually forgot about. So Darren Waller has had some, some let's just say some. His business has been all over the internet. Let's just say that. Oh, he said retiring. My bad. He said retiring.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Okay. All right. No, it's all good. It's all good, man. It's all good. It's all good.
yeah.
Like I said, his business has been all over the internet, man. Him and Kelsey Plum, one of the best women's basketball players on the planet. They broke up or whatever, and he decided to drop this horrible, horrible diss song about her and all that. I was like, it's ridiculous. It was freaking trash. Okay. Um, but some news I saw on X, ESPN, whatever, is that people were like he's close to retiring, and I couldn't
Yeah.
believe that. I couldn't believe that at all because um, I'm like, bro, you talented, right? Really, really talented. Like I felt like if he was gonna be the addition to the Giants that would get them back into the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Had they kept Saquon, right? Because I'm like, all right, you need a tight end. I think you still got Darius Slayton there, and then you get Neighbors or whatever, right? That sounds like a pretty good team, right? You got Daniel Jones. Obviously, you're invested in him. Um, then you keep Saquon if you could. You got Darren Waller, and then you get Neighbors this year with Darius Slayton. Sounds like a pretty good offense to me. I think Dable would have been able to do some damage with that, if you ask me. But the fact that he, is kind of about to retire, I don't really
He
know, man. That
he
don't sound good to me.
his foot's been halfway out the door for the last couple of years. He's been kind of holding the Giants in a stranglehold, and I'm pretty sure Brandon with college football dogs could probably attest to this. But it just feels like he's just been leaving them kind of out hanging. Like they just wonder, like what are you doing? Like you need to be open and communicate. Because from an organizational perspective, like we need to know what's going on. Because if you're 1 foot out the door, like you need to make your decision and make it now. So from an organizational standpoint, we can find someone else to fill this spot so we can still be successful on any given Sunday. You know what I mean? So I feel like I don't know the full details of why, but I think this has been an ongoing storyline for the last couple of seasons. And I think it's a bit unprofessional, especially like, I mean, they're giving you an opportunity, they're paying you. I don't know what you got going on in your personal life, and if you have something bad going on, man, I hope it gets better. But from a player perspective and just a professional perspective, I don't like this. I feel like you just need to make up your mind and let the Giants know. Because if you don't want to play, cool, you don't have to play, but don't hold the team in a rock and a hard place when they could be making moves to do what they need to do.
I agree. I agree, man. Shout out CD Clips for the question, man. That was pretty cool. I forgot all about that, man. But yeah, man. Like I said, you can get back into
Yeah.
your the LSU spill, man.
All right.
I'm interested to hear about that.
So, like I said, we had the world's worst defensive coordinator last year. Uh, but the two biggest boo boos that I think we had was one, you had no pressure from the line of scrimmage in the pass game, man. You had no pass rush. So the problem with that is, and for you guys who don't understand all the schematics of the game, when you don't have a really good pass rush, man, you're leaving your secondary out to dry. And when you have a secondary like LSU already had last year, where they're not deep in the cornerback and safety room, because of just lack of talent and then injuries, you're going to get exposed and teams are going to throw all over you. And you had guys like, yeah, Makai Wingo played really good for them last year, but Mason Smith underperformed. He couldn't get any pressure up the middle at all. And their edge rushers were non existent. So, I mean, the biggest thing for me is their defensive line, man. I think that was a big thing, and our secondary was really bad. But hey, they addressed it in the offseason, like you said. We brought in Blake Baker from Missouri. That was like the perfect move because one, he's already familiar with the area. He's coached at LSU before. He's already got those friendships and those relationships. So he can already help you in recruiting. He's a heck of a coordinator. You've seen what he did with Missouri's defense in less than 3 seasons. He completely turned them from bottom feeders into like a top 25 unit, which is very impressive. You bring Corey Raymond back, which that was such a steal in itself.
Mhm.
One of the lead reasons for DBU back in the day and why LSU was really good at recruiting running backs when me and you were kids. They were always good in the secondary running backs because Corey Raymond was just that guy. And
Yeah,
when they lost him, that was a big blow for them to lose him. But they got him back. So now you're going to reestablish your secondary. It's going to really help you in recruiting. You're not going to lose a lot of these guys like you were losing. You bring in Bo Davis from Texas, which is another huge acquisition for the defensive line. Texas should have never let that happen. So
shoot, we
LSU,
shouldn't let that happen.
no, y'all shouldn't have let that happen either.
Well,
But
to be fair, it was actually it was actually a recruiting violation, so he had to leave. He
yeah,
actually
but
did
very
it.
unfortunate
Yeah,
nonetheless. But
yeah, I
the
agree.
fact that you got a heck of a defensive coordinator who's going to bring order and structure to your defense. You have a familiar face in Corey Raymond that's going to help you on the recruiting trail. He's going to help you in the secondary, which is what they really need. And you bring in quite possibly the best defensive line coach in the entire country, who had a hell of a unit for Texas last year. That defensive line was wrecking a havoc on opposing quarterbacks every Saturday. So I think from a defensive perspective, you're going to see leaps and bounds better. I'm not saying they're going to jump to be a top 10, top 20 unit, but that defense is not going to give up plays they did last year. You're gonna see a much better push at the line of scrimmage. The secondary is going to be a lot better. I think they did really good on the transfer portal and with the recruiting as well. I think they're going to be a lot better there. You get Major Burns back at safety. I don't know if he had cancer. He had a medical condition. He's resolved now. He's back. He's a really good leader in the locker room. Uh, I don't know what that was, but
My bad, my bad.
it's okay.
Nah, that's my
All right,
son, and the toilet.
it's okay. It's okay. So, and the last thing I'll kind of pay to what you were saying. I don't think it completely hurts you having Perkins in the middle. Like I think he can really still
I
contribute.
do.
I would rather him on the edge, but I'm gonna trust that Blake Baker knows what he's doing. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, you've got him in the middle. You might see something that me and you don't see. I don't know. I just know and you know what we saw 2 years ago with him on the edge and nobody could shut him down. I don't know. And maybe they might use him in other packages on the edge. You never really know, but I'm going to trust the defensive coordinator. I'm going to let him do his thing. It's not Matt House. Anything's better than Matt House. So,
Yeah.
defensively, Defensively, I think LSU is going to be really good. Not saying they won't lose any games, but I definitely don't see teams running the same plays on them over and over and then continuing to lose games because of defense. Offensively, big news. You remember John Emery, that really good running back that LSU had? Well, he was
Yeah.
a graduate transfer. He ended the portal to leave. Yeah, well, he's coming back. So they have a 3 or 4 headed monster in the running back room between him and Caleb Jackson and Trey Holly. Like they're really deep at running back. You got Kyron Lacey coming back for receiver. You got forget his name from Liberty receiver. He's really good from transfer portal.
Mm.
Nussmeier has another year under his belt to really build chemistry with these guys. I think, man, if they could put the pieces together, we have two co-offensive coordinators this year. I'm drawing a blank on the names. He's got intangibles that a lot of other guys don't have, man. He's tough as nails. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's not afraid to take hits. Only thing I just need to see from him is that he's just going to be careful with the ball. We're not going to play hero ball. Take what the defense is going to give you because he can put it wherever he wants. He can throw the ball 50, 60 yards with ease. I think LSU's got no lack of talent. They have plenty of talent, and their offensive line is probably one of the best offensive lines in the conference, if not the country. Especially the two tackle positions with Emory Jones and Will Campbell. They're going to be really good. Not to mention you bring Mason Taylor back at tight end. Jason Taylor's son, really athletic player. You recruited really well at tight end. So overall, I think LSU's offense, no, it won't be the same scheme because obviously your quarterback isn't Jaden Daniels. So you have to build around your talent and play to Nussmeier's strengths and that. I mean, I think they're still really good, man. So overall, I'd rate the defense. I'd probably say a B plus on defense. I think they're going to make major leaps and strides, and I think that I'd say the offense is somewhere in the same relatively thing because it's under a whole new quarterback, probably a whole new offense. They have to play to what they have. But overall, man, I think LSU's in a really good place. I think they spent the money on defense, and I think it's going to really pay dividends for them this season.
All right, nah, man. But I got a question. Do you know where you can get more of this college football content, NFL content?
College football dogs.
College football dogs, yeah, man. So check it out, man.
On the College Football Dogs website, you'll find a main page that features some of our biggest and newest stories. Our conference pages for content related to your favorite team's conference. Our team store, where we have products that are available all year long, as well as gear available for a limited time only. Our podcast page, where you can see when one of the 12 plus College Football Dogs podcasts is streaming live on social media. Our subscription page, where you can join our Discord. If you're interested in becoming a contributor at College Football Dogs, email us at info@collegefootballdogs.com. If you enjoy any College Football Dogs content, we really do appreciate any donations you can make by visiting the donate page on our website or scanning the QR code here.
Yeah, man. College football dogs, man. Hey, y'all know the drill. Revolution, man. As far as sports media is concerned, they're bringing back the integrity, the honesty of sports media. We just happy to be a part of this journey. So when y'all give us a like, subscribe, follow, man, they come with it. So just be
Or a
on the
package
lookout.
deal.
Yep, man. So like I said, give them some love as well. So that's one that to your closing point that you were talking about. Will Campbell, man, I think he's how your offense is gonna go. I expect him to get a lot of the action as far as the run, and I expect y'all to run his way a lot. He's probably, if y'all watch my way too early top 10, he's definitely on my list of top 10 draft picks next year, man, because he's that good. He's really good, man. So he's going to be making a lot of money next year and picked early. And he's going to have like I said, there's going to be so many players drafted from the SEC just off of this season alone.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Because there are going to be so many games that you're going to be playing against top teams, right? Like I think this year is going to be so crazy as far as having top 10 matchups, top 5 matchups, because you're going to have Bama and Georgia. That's going to be a top 5 matchup. Then later on, once other teams get knocked off, you're going to have Ole Miss in the top 10 probably at some point,
Oh, if they're not already there.
you're gonna have that matchup later. Bama, if they take a loss, right? Then Auburn, that game becomes even more important, so they could be a top 25 team, then you got LSU, right? They're gonna be in the top 10, top 5 at some point, because they're going to be at least in the top 25. It's at least 8 teams in the SEC right now. In the top 25.
Agreed.
At least 8. And then maybe 2 other teams outside the top 25. Like we're talking Kentucky and we're probably talking Florida, right? So, which is a team that we could talk after I talk about Bama. Like they have this crazy scenario that could happen, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. But as far as Bama is concerned, man, I think that everybody comes into the season understanding what Nick Saban was gonna do. I think early on there was a bully ball type of thing where you could just beat everybody up. You could beat up LSU, you can beat up Auburn, you can beat up Georgia because you were bigger and better at some positions, right? As we moved into later of the 2000s, in the 2010s, you saw the offense open up again, right? So the big burly Dante Hightowers, Trey Dupree, Rolando McClain, linebackers, defensive linemen, whatever, aren't going to work anymore. You need, and you saw it in some bowl games and some playoff games. The lateral runs and plays were ones that beat us. So then, we started to adapt to that and we won a couple more championships, right? And then, as we adapted to it, you could see it. We lost our way. We lost our way as far as bully ball. I thought when we had Lane Kiffin and we had that Derrick Henry run in there, right? It wasn't all of the passing and fun and all of that stuff. It was still some Saban in there. It wasn't all high flying, right? After that Derrick Henry year, you could start to see us just focus on passing the ball, which is fine because we led the country in scoring and passing and all of that, right? But we lost a lot of that, right? And I think as we went to these last 3 seasons, right, of Saban, there was not enough. Like you could tell his message was falling on deaf ears, right? I can compare it to Brian Billick with my Ravens, right? We won that Super Bowl in like 2000, right? And we had some really good teams, some really good defenses, but you can tell offensively the tone wasn't there, and defensively too. Defensively, you had Ray Lewis, you had Ed Reed, but everybody else wasn't like them, and they weren't listening. So you need to change, right? And you go to John Harbaugh, John Harbaugh. I'll be forgetting who it is sometimes, but you get John Harbaugh and you change the voice a little bit, and then you get another Super Bowl, right? And it works. You start to find different ways to win. So I think this year we'll have the element of surprise, as far as people not knowing what team is going to be there, right? And you've seen that with Washington a lot last year.
You seen that with us when you seen that with Kelly when LSU took over when they had Daniels. Nobody knew what to expect from them.
Exactly. So I think people are going to expect, Milroe to be sort of like last year, spotty passer, exciting deep ball, right? But I feel like with DeBoer, he's more of an offensive coach, where the Saban was a defensive coach, right? So Saban can say to a Milroe, hey, focus on throwing the ball to the open guy, right? You can say that to him, right? But not really having him understand what that means, I think is the biggest issue right here with Saban, right? And when we go into the season with DeBoer, I think he can actually explain this a little bit more. Offensive coordinator is pretty heralded too. I can't remember his name, but he's pretty good too. Because the offensive coordinator that we originally had went to the Seahawks with Mike McDonald from the Ravens. So he's kind of a passing savant too. So I think it'll be interesting. My thing is on defense. What are we looking like? You know what I'm saying? We've been a 3-4 team for the most part, with some 4-2-5 type tendencies with Saban, because obviously, you got to run your nickel a lot because people running these 3-4 wide receiver sets. You got to take somebody off the field. You can't run big the whole time, right? So I think from what I'm hearing from on my side, as far as the reporters are concerned, I think they're running like a 4-2-5, and that's the base. So against the pass, we'll be there all the time, right? We'll be able to stop the pass a lot more. So I'm wanting to know what our defense is going to look like as far as the defensive line is concerned. Just because that's been an issue. Like, that's been an issue. Like, ever since Bo Davis left, like, our defensive line play is like the number of sacks that have been accumulated over that time have gone down. Now, the sack totals have gone up, but it's been from different people. Like, for a while, we just had our sack artists coming from the defensive line. Now it's spread out between the linebackers, the safeties, the linemen, all of that. So that's really what I'm looking forward to seeing, man. Obviously, we got this. I forgot his name. His name's Jermaine or something. He's a wide receiver, and he came from Washington. So he's going to be probably the number one option. He gives me, man, I hate to put this comparison out there, but he gives me Jameson Williams vibes, man. Like, as far as
explosive.
Yeah, man. But not just explosive, because Jameson Williams was a deep threat. You know what I'm saying? He can beat you.
That's what I'm saying, explosive.
Nah, but this dude got some route running ability though.
So would you make a comparison to, let's say, Amari Cooper?
Nah, he's not
that good.
No, he's not. Nah,
I was
bro.
curious. I wanted to see what you was gonna say.
No. The only person that I can tell you that reminded me of Amari Cooper was Calvin Ridley. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. And maybe Jared Judy. That was like, if we talk about comparisons to Amari Cooper was different, bro. Different. That dude was nasty, bro. We talking about we talking route running. That's sick, man. The stuff
His footwork is unheard of.
Bro, I'm telling you, how many ACLs he done broke at practice? You know what I'm saying? Just with his route running alone. Like, bro, you know what I'm saying? So, like, he actually turned Eddie Jackson into a safety instead of a corner, bro. Like, if you ever heard, you had Eddie Jackson from the Bears, right?
Yeah.
So he turned him into a safety instead of a corner. That's how bad he was doing him at practice. So, nah. So ain't nobody like him. But I do like what he could do, man. I'm interested to see, man. So, like I said, before we get into last two segments, man, I want to talk about Florida, man. Let's see. We got another comments, man. Let's see. Oh, you're a Sooners fan. We know, man. We know you're a Sooners fan, man. We know.
Yeah,
We know, bro. We know you're a Sooners fan, man. We do. We know. We know. They gonna be. It's gonna be rough.
that's an interesting. That's an interesting look. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I hope the best for Brent Venables, but I'm going to be open and transparent. I'm pretty sure Cam will share a lot of the same viewpoint. I don't think it's going to be smooth for them. Like I think there's going to be some growing pains. Look, Oklahoma's got one of the most stoic and historic programs. Much respect to what they were able to do over the years. Even as most recently as with Bradford, even after that, were really good. But I'm going to be honest with you. Oklahoma's not in the greatest spot right now, especially now that they're coming to a new conference where any team can beat anybody. It's not the Big 12 anymore. Like Texas adjusted, and Sark's got them boys where they need to be, but I'm not sold on Oklahoma. Yeah, I would agree with you on that. But I'm not going to say they can't make the adjustment. I think Oklahoma still recruits really good. And Venables isn't a bad coach, but there's definitely going to be some growing pains. And I guess we'll just see what happens.
I would say it's all right, here's my thing. So Oklahoma, for the time that I've known this school, as far as watching this school with my own two eyes, has been offense.
Yeah.
And when they were in their heyday, when I was coming up, they played top 30 defense. Right? So now you got Venables, who's a defensive coach, right? Coming into a conference that is offensive heavy now. Now, if we was talking about 2012, I would say, yeah, Venables is the right guy because defense was still defense in the SEC. But now it's not as much as it used to be. So my thing is, what are you going to do offensively to score enough points to where your defense has a chance to affect the game? You know, what are you going to do? Now, if you come into this season of expansion of the SEC with the Lincoln Riley, I would be vastly,
I'd be hopeful.
I would be vastly more positive about that. But the fact is that this is a team that won like 8 games maybe last year. Maybe.
Something in that ballpark.
Yeah, you know. And you coming in here with not an offense to put up points. Knowing you got to play probably Tennessee. And they can
Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt might not be bad either.
No, but I'm specifically talking about Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee can score points.
And they can put up 50 like that. You know what I'm saying? And
you're probably going to end up playing Missouri again, too. And Missouri can score points.
Mizzou. We got LSU. They can score points. Although it will be in a different scheme, they can still score points. You know, you got Bama. You know, you got Georgia, who actually is more of an archaic team than anybody else. They still in 2012. they still and look, and it works. It works. They will run you down the chute and play very good defense.
They still got to talk about Texas too, man. They still got to go through them, and Texas is going to be good.
Yeah, so they have the second hardest way in this conference this year. They got the second hardest way to do it. CD Clips, man. They got a long way to go. But like I said, man, things change. Let's see. What do you say? He got what do you say? Yeah, I got one of the hardest schedules, dog.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into that other team that Ken was talking about.
Yeah, man.
Wait, let's see. We got Danny Stutman want to be linebacker.
Yeah, man. I mean, but like I said, he ain't gonna score all your points though. Y'all might just score some points, man.
Y'all gonna have to be vertical. Like y'all gonna have to try to open things up and score points. Like that's the only way they're gonna survive.
But the team I want to talk about, man, is this team, man. Let me see. Let me get this right. Let me see.
We've been talking about this team since we started the podcast.
All right. Let's talk about Florida, man. Okay. Like I said, if you're still in here, CD Clips, man, y'all got a tough spot. But bro,
woo, Florida's got. You said a gauntlet.
But bro. Okay. So all right. So Florida has to. Goddamn, dude. You know
they
what?
did them dirty, bro.
Hold up.
They did Napier dirty, bro.
You talk about Florida and let me pull up their schedule, bro.
Yeah, definitely
let me
pull it up.
their schedule.
Yeah.
Because
Are you talking about in regards to the schedule, or
just talk about the their schedule and their road to like what they have to go through. Bro.
So, and I've skimmed over it. He's gonna have it up here for you guys shortly. Florida's in a really bad place. Like I feel like the committee, whoever made these, like they did Florida bad, especially knowing that Napier's seat is like hot as Cam's hoodie he got on right now. I mean,
hey man, I'm trying to sweat out this cold, bro. Chill.
But his seat's hot, man. I'm a believer in Billy Napier. I think he's a good coach. I think he is a really good recruiter. But man, Florida's in a hard place. I want to say, don't they have Lagway, I think, at quarterback this year, if I'm not mistaken. So they are very talented. They've done some really good moves in the transfer portal and recruiting. But dude, this schedule is insane. Florida, like for them to be successful and for Napier to keep his job, you know, I think me and you had spoke about it previously. We thought that Florida needed to be at least in the 7 to 8 win range. Okay, so look, let's talk about this. I don't care if you got my face covered. So let's go for this from week 1. You have Miami, who has Cam Ward. Miami has done really good in the offseason.
That's gonna be a tough. It's not in order though. It's not in order.
Okay,
but this is the schedule that they have to play.
So I'll be honest with you, the games that really stick out to me is like almost impossible. I'm not gonna say impossible to win, but your hardest games are gonna be Florida State for one. That's gonna be a tough game for them. They still have LSU on the schedule in conference play. You got Ole Miss, you've got Georgia, you've got Tennessee, you've got Texas. That's 7, 8 games already that I'm not sold on them. I think Florida will be really good, like talent-wise, but can they put it together on the field? Because this schedule is insane. Like the only game that I find their favorite in really is the Samford game. I'm not completely sold against them against Kentucky, although I'm not sold on Kentucky this year and Mississippi State. But dude, like look at the quarterbacks you have to play. So like go through the schedule. You've got Cam Ward you're playing against.
Yep.
You've got DJU you're playing against.
Yep.
You've got Garrett Nussmeier. You've got Jackson Dart. You've got Carson Beck. You've got Quinn Ewers and many more. I don't know if they're going to
Tennessee's quarterback is good too.
Yeah, I forget his name. I was figured you was going to throw that bone out there. But
yeah.
For you Florida fans, if there's anybody watching, if you're going to go back and watch, I feel for you guys. I think they kind of gave you guys the shafts, bro. Just going to be completely honest. Like that's bad. That's tough.
This is rough, man. But being the positive person on this thing about Florida, I will give the other side of this. So if Florida can get through this schedule with at least 9 wins, at least
that's a stretch, man.
That's a stretch. Yes, it is. It is. But if they can get through, hold up. See what he said.
So what he can do? Oh, somebody transferred? I mean.
Yeah. God, what was his name? Oh man. Yeah, they got him. He's pretty good. I forgot his name. But
Kentucky's in a weird spot though.
Yeah. But you know what? But you
They're
know
still a
what?
good team.
Their defense is going to be good enough for them to win.
Mark Stoops'
At
defense is
least,
going to be a good defense.
yeah, they're going to win like 7-8 games this year. And I think that'll be the best.
Good enough, yeah.
That's what they do. You know, they'll be good. They have other problems in other sports as far as basketball is concerned. They don't know what they're going to do there. So, but when football is concerned, they if they win 7-8 games, they'll be all right. And I think they can do that because they're gonna ugly. One thing about Kentucky is they ugly games left, and you will find yourself watching SEC Network at like 7 or 8 o'clock, and Bama or LSU is in a dogfight against Kentucky. And you'd be like, what is going on? And that's what happens. So that, and that'll go either way. I've seen Kentucky lose a game to Georgia like 7-3, like in the middle of the rain. Georgia's number one and only scored 7 points against
and they've
them.
played really good against them the last few years or so. Like they've competed with the questionably one of the best teams in the country. I mean,
exactly. Uh-oh, he frozen. Yeah, so Florida on the other hand, is absolutely in a crazy situation, dog. This is a rough season. This is the hardest schedule. This is a schedule I put together on NCAA football, bro. When you playing in the SEC, but you schedule Ohio State, Texas,
all of your open games,
and who's another
USC
one?
probably.
And USC, right? On NCAA football, right? Mm-hmm. You got the hardest schedule plus 3 crazy open games, right?
You're trying to get that number 1 spot. That's why you make it stupid hard.
So if there's any way that they can come out of this, positive win total, I think that saves Billy Napier's job.
Yeah, he needs to get to a bowl game. Like, You have to get at least 7 wins, I feel like, to make the cut. You have to get at least 7.
At least, man. At least. So that's my thing, man. Florida, they gotta win something, man. They gotta win this year because I really like Billy Napier, and I don't want him to have to go through this, this thing. Like I said, we talked about it before that this job was a big step compared to where he was. And like I said, I thought that maybe there was another job he could have taken before this. Like there are other group of 5 schools that are teetering on Power 5 level that I thought he could have took to another level. We talking Boise State. We talking schools like Oregon State, right? That would be a job that was open at, not at the time, but now
in that realm of
coaching. Yeah, in that realm of thought process, man. If you're in this on this episode watching with us, thank you. Run those likes up, give us a follow as well on our socials. But give me some suggestions on schools that Billy Napier could have went to before taking the Florida job.
Drop them in the comments.
I guarantee it's a lot more than what I'm thinking of, man.
Oh yeah,
but I
definitely.
thought Florida was just too big of a step for a guy that was just at ULL or ULL, right? Yeah. So, but we'll get into this last segment, man, after this commercial break. Let me get in this thing. I gotta always figure out where this thing is, man. I'm always scrolling.
On the College Football Dogs website, you'll find a main page that features some of our biggest and newest stories. Our conference pages for content related to your favorite team's conference. Our team store, where we have products that are available all year long, as well as gear available for a limited time only. Our podcast page, where you can see when one of the 12 plus College Football Dogs podcasts is streaming live on social media. Our subscription page, where you can join our Discord. If you're interested in becoming a contributor at College Football Dogs, email us at info@collegefootballdogs.com. If you enjoy any College Football Dogs content, we really do appreciate any donations you can make by visiting the donate page on our website or scanning the QR code here.
College Football Dog.
Yeah, man. Like I said, college football dogs join the revolution. Paul's up, man. Like I said, it's a great organization, man. We're happy to be a part of it. Join us, join them. We're a package deal, man. So as we get into this last segment, man, it's really our closing argument segment. I mean, we ran pretty long today, but pretty standard show as far as time is concerned. But I want to get your thoughts on coaching in the SEC this year, man. So you got some guys, some new coaches. Obviously, Mike Elko is one of them. We talked about him a little bit already, man. So I want to talk about some people that might be on the hot seat this year.
Ooh, I got one.
I'll start because I had put a picture on here already. I'll start this one. Not hot seat that is boiling hot, but it's getting a little warm. And the success that they had earlier in his tenure was, it showed a lot of promise. Now it's kind of like it's stabilized a little bit. I want to talk about Sam Pittman, man, at Arkansas. Bro.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I am a trenches guy. I love offensive line, defensive line play. It's really what I watch when I watch the game. Sam Pittman was the offensive lineman coach at Georgia, and he was able to get the job at Arkansas, right? And I felt like he was what they were missing because they fired Brett Bielema, and I thought Brett Bielema was doing a very good job there for what he was given. I thought Arkansas was back to what they did when they had Houston Nutt running the football, Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, Peyton Hillis, that era of Arkansas. With Brett Bielema, they had Alex Collins. They had some really good running backs there, big guys on the offensive line. They were tough, and they won games that they weren't supposed to win. Obviously they had to run through the Bamas, the LSUs, the Georgias of the world, but they were irrelevant, right? They were relevant in the conversation in the top 25 every year. So if my thing was, why would you fire Brett Bielema, right? And he's not doing bad. This is really even kill what Arkansas has been over the course of my lifetime. Arkansas has never really been a national championship team.
They ain't been like this since like the 50s.
Yeah, right. But they've always been a thorn in the side of one or two teams throughout their championship team. You know very well about that as well. I know that Bama has had some close games against Arkansas as well. So you look at Brett Bielema, and then you go to the infamous Chad Morris era, where they lost 23 SEC games throughout maybe 2.5 seasons. So disgusting work, right? But that's not what Arkansas does. So we get into the Sam Pittman era, and I see this change in their philosophy, and I like it. You got big KJ Jefferson running the football, passing the football, affecting the game both ways. And the defense is really hectic. They pick a lot of transfer guys, including Drew Sanders from Alabama, who ended up going like in the third, fourth round in the draft. So he got a lot of shine there. Had Barry Odom, obviously Mizzou's ex-head coach, but he even had some really good defense. I want to say Kendall Browse was there as well as far as offense is concerned. So this season, it's kind of a show me what you got. Um, and if I had to rank a team that has a third rough schedule as far as the SEC is concerned, Arkansas is another one. Arkansas's
Mhm.
got a tough schedule as well, man, because everybody's got a tough schedule in the SEC. Nobody has a cakewalk. Everybody got to
Mhm.
play everybody. So they got a tough thing. I don't know what they're doing at quarterback. I don't know what they're doing as far as running back. You lose a couple guys on defense as well. So I don't know what you do. I think losing Rocket Sanders to South Carolina was a big loss, even though he was hurt last year.
It's
I
still a
think
big deal.
it's a big deal, for South Carolina too, because they kind of stabilized their running back room with him is concerned, right? So you got some questions about Sam Pittman this year, man. I personally like Sam Pittman. Like I said, he's an offensive lineman coach by nature. So I just want to see his team just really show some effort this season, man. Like if there's any year to excuse me, to play for your coach, this is the year. Because I think he's doing a hell of a job there. And to stabilize them after that Chad Morris debacle, I felt like he did a good job. And I think even though the conference is expanding, I still think he can be a very, very good coach there. And he should be able to retire there. He shouldn't have to be fired at all because he's done exactly what he is. But the way college football is going, where everybody sees Deion Sanders and this transfer portal success he's sort of having as far as retooling your team, or the Mel Tucker thing where they win damn near the Big Ten. Like people see this success with these little framework of I even throw Mike Elko out there with Duke. That's another thing that people see, and these administrators think that okay, this can happen with us, so why are we struggling?
The
And
SEC is so much different.
every situation is different, man. You can recruit Duke, you can win at Duke like that fast, and it's only to get you to another job. You're not going
Mhm.
to sustain Duke that level for a long time, right? But Arkansas is not really a job that'll take you to another job. It's really kind of a job that is pretty high up on the totem pole, if you ask me. Even Vanderbilt is a pretty high up totem job, unless you're
Mhm.
James Franklin and you get Penn State after that. As far
Mhm.
as like SEC, you right there. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to see them succeed because this is kind of a proven year. And I don't want to see Sam Pittman be on the chopping block. Let's just say that. So
Mhm. Yeah.
that's my closing argument with the coaches on the hot seat.
Yeah. There's one guy that I feel like is kind of in a similar situation. Same conference, obviously. Started off with a lot of promise. Got
Mhm.
a couple guys to the transfer portal. You kind of touched briefly on them, but I kind of want to see where you stand. I'm talking about Shane Beamer, man.
Ah,
Started off with a lot of promise, playing really good in games that, like, kind of how he's with Arkansas, weren't necessarily supposed to be in those games. And I felt like he's really kind of helped get them back to some stability. But the last couple of years, we had high expectations, not just as a lot of people did. Me and you had our SEC breakdown last year, and me and you were pretty high on South Carolina with Spencer Rattler. I think we both had them in that conversation to be a top 2 or 3 team in the East, and they just couldn't get it done. There was a lot of games that I feel like they should have been in. I think he's a really good head coach. I think he's very smart. I think he's good about retooling his roster to fit the strengths. But I think his seat's a little warm, man, because I know South Carolina's another job, kind of like Arkansas, where it's like if you made it there, you've made it there. And I feel like he recruits really well, but they need to take a leap forward. I know that I don't really know who they have at quarterback this year. I've kind of forgotten. I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to them, but I think he's in a
mm,
similar spot to where you need to show me something. You need to make another step forward because I think he's one of those good young and up and coming head coaches, but they need to make a leap this year because I don't want to see them struggle and then he's in a similar spot. And I don't think he'd be in a similar spot as Napier, but if they struggle, and if they struggle to get 6 games, man, that's gonna be a conversation that's gonna be in the
Yeah.
media. We're gonna be talking about it. It's gonna be all over the news. So I really want to see him do well, but I want to see what you think about like where he's come from since he's been there, and what do you think is gonna happen moving forward in regards to them winning or struggling? Like, where do you think it's going?
I mean, I think this year might be a regression. I thought last year was good. I felt like they could have beat Georgia. That was probably the best chance they had to beat Georgia because they had a really difference maker at quarterback. But Georgia just put the clamps on them in that second half, and that was it. You know, you started to see what made Spencer Rattler a later pick than what he was advertised to be. The decision making, you know, playing against a tougher team, you know, he starts to make the decisions that he probably shouldn't make. You know, but at the end of the day, I look at it like he was trying to win the game, and Georgia was on his tail all game. So I felt like they might regress this year a little bit. I don't know who their quarterback is. I do know Rocket Sanders is going to be a big part of that, but he can't be Ollie Gordon at Oklahoma State. He can't do that. Like you can't have him. He's not going to lead the nation in rushing, bro. Because
No,
I
not
don't.
especially not in that conference.
No, not in the SEC. It's going to be tough. You know, you seen how hard it was for Schrader to get 1,600 last year.
It
You
was. He had to
know,
work for it, man. Like that's
yeah,
tough.
he
And
had to
LSU, it's even
work.
harder.
He had to work for it, and you know, Mizzou's offensive line was actually pretty good last year. So, actually, they're in the top 10 if we talking offensive lines in college football. So, South Carolina is one of these teams that I think might regress a little bit. I don't think they'll fall like 4-8 or something like that.
No. I
I don't
think in
think
the
it's that
6-win
bad.
range, maybe.
I just think, yeah, like 6 wins. I think that's the thing. So I don't know if the seat's hot. I don't think it's hot, but I
It's
think
warm though.
next season, if they go less than 6 wins, it starts to heat up a little bit.
Oh yeah.
It starts to heat up a little bit. But right now, I think you're in the Mike Norvell territory with Florida State with Shane Bieber. I think everything's good. We're riding high from last season, and we're going into this season confident that maybe we can keep going. I don't see it because I don't know what their situation is at quarterback. I think the quarterbacks play across this conference this year is going to dictate everything. If you have a bad day, if Jalen Merrill has a bad day,
Oh, that's over with.
if Nuss Bus has a bad day, you're probably going to lose that game, depending on who you're playing against. If you're playing
Everybody can
against,
score.
if you're playing against like LSU is playing against BAMA, and one of our quarterbacks has a bad day, our team's probably losing that game, right? If they both play good, then it's going to be an even game. You know, if one person struggles against Georgia, we probably losing those games. You know, because Georgia don't play that mistake football like that. So, I just think it's man, I just think it's gonna be. I think they regress, but not that much. So I think the hot seat's not that hot, man. You know, let's see what we got. We got a comment. Washington, they lost a lot of players. How good do you think they're gonna be?
I don't know, man.
And
They had a stacked conference, dude. Like USC, UCLA, Bama, and Oregon with Ohio State and Michigan already. That's
yeah,
not a good place to be in. Like, I don't know what their
no,
roster looks like, and I don't even remember who they promoted to be their head coach. But dude, like, we don't talk about the Big Ten that much here. But with the addition of those other 3 teams on top of the other good teams that are even there, Washington's in a not a great place going into the season.
yeah, man. I agree, man. I agree. It's they are in a man. That's a tough spot to be.
Like they're in a worse
Because
spot, I feel like, than almost Illinois. Almost like they're like in that kind of realm. I feel like because their roster's depleted.
yeah, man. So they're going to be in the TCU territory last year.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Kind of sort of.
you come off the national championship, and you were good, but it's tough to do that when you got one of your coach leaves, and then you have a Heisman winner and Heisman contender in Max Duggan. Then you got Michael Penix leaving. You lose Odunze, you lose some other receivers. They transfer. Like I said, Bama has one of them. You're just in a tough spot, man. So I expect them to be in rebuild mode. I don't expect them to be in the top 5 in either division they're in. They're just in a tough spot, man. Like I said, I think, like CD said in the comments, man, I think that was their year to win. I think you had to win a national championship that year, last year, and they couldn't do it, man. Michigan really put the clamps on them last year. All that passing they was doing, they couldn't do nothing, man. So, I don't know. So I just think the Big Ten is like I said, the college football playoff is going to have 8 teams. All right,
4
they're
from
gonna have
each.
12 teams. They're gonna have 12 teams. No, no, no. I meant my thoughts got put together. All right,
Yeah.
they're gonna have 12 teams.
Yeah.
8 of those teams are coming from the SEC and the Big Ten. After that, you just figure out where you fall in line because you're gonna have 4 teams coming from the SEC, 4 teams coming from the Big Ten. Now, whoever those teams are, whatever. I don't know. I know they're gonna play the favoritism card on teams that they want to see, brands, whatever. As far as Notre Dame is concerned, they're gonna probably put them in there. If Clemson's good, they're gonna try to put them in there. If Florida State's good, they're in there. Then you're gonna have some group of 5 teams in there. We talking Tulane, UCF, people like that, right?
Not to mention you have conference champions that are going to have an automatic bid too. So
Exactly. So you're gonna play the game. You're gonna play the favoritism game, but just know coming from us that it's gonna be 8 teams from the Big Ten and the SEC. However you split that up, 5-3, 6-2, doesn't matter. It's going to be 8 teams from those 2 conferences. So whoever you are watching this show and you think that your team is probably going to be there, depending on what your team is, you should be probably upset that your team's probably not going to be there. If they're in the top 15 and there's an SEC team or a Big Ten team ahead of them, depending on the losses that they have, they probably not gonna make it over SEC team. So I'm definitely preparing all of y'all for y'all to be crying about, oh man, it's not fair. Let's go to 16. That's how this is gonna go. Okay.
oh man, we had this talk last time.
You
Oh
know,
man, that's the
so
worst case scenario. Let's not like
yeah, you're not gonna like this comment.
lost a lot. What? No, they lost people in the draft, but dude, they brought back a lot of guys. They did really good in the transfer portal and recruiting. Like their top 10 recruiting class, like they'll be fine.
Yeah. So
I'm confident. I'm not saying we're going undefeated confident, but I feel like you held a lot of your roster together. And I think the coaching hires and just who you were able to get between those other 2 avenues, they're going to be good, just like Alabama will.
yeah. But yeah, man. Like I said, we can close the show on that one. That was our closing argument segment, man. Like I said, pretty general show, man. Got our SEC talking there. I think our next show we should get into. We should talk about. We talk about the Big Ten. I think that'll be a really. I think that'll be a really, really good show, man. They talk about the Big Ten. I know we talk about the SEC a lot here. I think we get into the Big Ten. That'll be interesting because I think there's a lot that we haven't even really researched that we could really talk about, man. Because the Big Ten is gonna be a tough conference, man. It's gonna be really tough. So, but like I said, before we get up out of here, man, anything you gotta say, man?
Yeah. Well, one, it's awesome to be back here with you because I think this is an awesome thing that we do, and it was an idea that we both came up with, and I think we both just took a leap of faith. And I don't know if we haven't hit a year yet, we're about to hit a year of doing this. So, but we couldn't have been here without any of you guys. So, man, if any of you guys have been there since day one, man, thank y'all so much for all of your support, all of the likes, subscriptions, man. And if you got people that are joining now, like you are jumping in at a really good time. Like you said earlier, we've made a really big jump with college football dogs. The channel is growing on all avenues between Twitter, between YouTube, the social media platforms, audio platforms, man. So definitely, if you guys enjoy this kind of content, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you never miss a video. We're doing a lot of community polls, a lot of shorts. Cam's been coming up with some really cool stuff on his end. If you like just to listen on the go, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, all of that good stuff you use while popping in when you're working out, when you're driving, things like that. Definitely check us out on Twitter. Don't forget to try us on Twitch too. We're starting to grow on Twitch. I think you guys would really like that. And you college football game fans, we got a month till it comes out. We're going to be playing online. We're going to be live streaming. We would really love for you guys to join us on Twitch too. It's going to be really
He's
fun
going
time.
down. He's going down. He's over there. He's going down.
We're going to see. It's going to be LSU BAMA first game.
Yeah.
But definitely, if you guys love college football content, if y'all love pro football content, we are different than anybody else on the market. I promise you, you will not regret it. But don't forget, follow us on all the social media platforms. Thank you for all the love and continue to just like the content, comment, all of that good stuff. But thank you guys so much. And strap up for the ride, man. It's going to be really fun going forward.
Yeah, man. Appreciate CD Clips, man, for engaging in the show, man.
Very much so.
Last thing before we get up out of here, I think Arizona will be good next season.
In the Big 12.
Hey, they're a Big 12 team now, man. So they got the four corners they got one of the four corner schools. We talking Utah, talking New Mexico, Arizona, and was it Colorado? Yeah, I think that's the four corners. So that's a good spot for them to be in, man. So but thank you, CD Clips, for engaging in the comment, bro. We are about to get up out of here, man. Peace.
See y'all next time.
All right.